Hi, I'm Quinn, and this is Culturecore. I'm so glad we're finally doing this. I'm really excited to do this with you guys. Um, I think my love for podcasts has been growing like a lot over the past 5 years, and it just feels like a natural next step to put out one of my own. Um, I was going to put this out much earlier. I thought I was going to put this out like yesterday evening, but apparently I don't really like the editing software that Spotify recommends for this. And now I'm back on iMovie. I don't know if that's how you're supposed to do it, probably not, but here we are. So expect audio to not be ideal. I'm gonna order a microphone. It'll be on the way sometime next week, and we can try again. Okay? All right, right off the bat, I put out my first little bit of content, and it was a compilation of clips that I had edited and animated somewhat from an episode of the H3H3 podcast. If you guys don't know what the H3H3 podcast is, um, this is definitely going to be kind of a brainchild of him. Everything that he did with podcasting really just, encapsulates all of the best parts of it for me. And in this clip, he's showing a video that came out recently of Joe Rogan basically fabricating just on a whim, just completely fabricating a story that never happened about these two YouTubers. So, do you guys know what Creator Clash is? It's this boxing tournament between YouTubers where I guess they just like call each other out and they fight. It's really silly, but there is two people who were involved in it. One video creator named Matt Watson, and another one who I believe goes by Dad. Anyway, Joe Rogan heard that and he immediately started pathologizing their relationship. He was like, I know exactly what this is like. I mean, the dad's probably an awful person. Okay, listen. I'll insert the clip here. You guys can watch it a little bit and then we'll discuss this, okay? So here's that clip now.
I grew up without my dad. So for me, I was like, no, his dad was probably an asshole. His dad was probably jealous. His
Immediately
dad was probably
personal.
just some terrible. There's terrible people that fuck people and have kids.
True. True.
Murderers, monsters, thieves, con artists. They fuck people and have kids, and then they have a son. I saw a video today of a boxing match between a father and a son. It made me so sad. It made me so
Aw.
sad. Because there's this young kid. He looks like he's probably like 17 or 18, and the father's 42.
How does he
And the
know
father
that?
beats the shit out of him.
Okay, so you can see that like and yes, I get it, okay? Everybody was commenting on that and they were like, Jamie comes in like a couple seconds after that and corrects him. He knows that's not what happened, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I get it. He was still oversharing. Okay? We were about 3 minutes in. You understand? He had been going for a while. All right? And then Jamie comes in and then he's like, "Oh, I don't think that's what's happening, Joe." And Joe's like, "Oh, okay." But it's still just the way he is. That's the way he is nowadays. He will follow a whim, a scent on the wind, anything, and just go for it. And I'll talk more about them later. I want to talk about more about the UFC specifically later on in the episode. So we'll get into it and then we'll come back to it. Okay. But yes, I know that Jamie corrected him shortly after. Does it change anything? No. Okay, so I guess we should talk about Logan Paul. I know, nobody wants to talk about them. They're both so loud and so abrasive, and we didn't consent to this whole narrative. I get it, okay? But he's in the news because people are accusing him of animal abuse because there's something going on with this pig that he adopted. All right, people are saying that he abandoned this pig. And although I hate to bring any light to these types of people, I know some of you are saying, no, he's evolved, the podcast, blah, 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 blah. Whatever. I looked into this story, and there's more to it. It's less black and white than the narrative would want you to believe. So basically, what happened was maybe you've heard the Paul brothers both decided that they were going to move to Puerto Rico. Okay? I'm guessing allegedly maybe they got tired of paying taxes, you know. And so they moved to Puerto Rico. And when they did, Logan, I guess, had a lot of animals that he had living at his house here in the US. And so when he moved to Puerto Rico, Logan was like, I guess I'm gonna rehome all these animals. Yeah. I don't know how many of the animals were rehomed, but I can confirm that there were actually two pigs that Logan Paul had adopted, and they both were rehomed before his move. Now, the people that he gave the pigs to actually ended up, I don't want to say that they let the pigs out because what actually happened is that the pigs ended up escaping, all right? They escaped, they ended up, wandering through the wilderness, and I, I regret to inform you that one of the two pigs was found dead. That was the pig named, oh God, this name, Piggy Smalls. I know. Poor Piggy Smalls. Rip to Piggy Smalls. I guess they were eaten by a coyote. So there's the update on that. But the other pig was found and taken in. I'm not sure whether she's still with the people who found her. She does have a home currently. Her name is Pearl. That's the pig in question. And she's living safely, happily in Southern California. Although the people who took her in are looking to rehome her. And you guys won't believe the reason. It's so sad. The owner said that she's so used to interacting with people and she needs so much affection that they actually can't provide it for her at this point in time. I know. I feel so bad for Pearl. I really hope that she finds a home that is going to be, better for her. And just a note on this, if you guys are pig loving people, because I know they're cute, they're tiny, they're pink, they're sometimes, they're adorable. You should know that teacup pigs, that's not a thing, bro. That's not a thing, okay? The smallest type of pig that you're going to be getting is going to be around 90 pounds or more, usually. So if you are interested in getting a pig, please make sure that you have like farmland, make sure you have a large space for them to be able to be happy, and apparently you have, a lot of time to give that animal affection. So did Logan Paul abandon his pets? Yeah, kind of. Like, obviously, if you don't have the space and time to be able to take care of an animal, the right thing to do is to rehome it. But I feel, and a lot of people feel, that if you're going to be taking on a new pet, it's kind of like taking on a new family member. Like, if I'm going to adopt an animal, I mean, you're coming with me, all right? I don't care. Wherever we're going, whatever happens in life, I'm Googling how long is this animal going to live, and I'm somewhat planning my life around this new addition. Yeah, and I feel like we should all do that because, animals' lives matter and their happiness exists and we should pay attention to that. Okay, enough about Logan Paul. The next thing I want to talk about, I'm actually really excited to talk about this because when is the last time we've heard about Shakira? She's such an icon. Um, Hopefully you know who Shakira is. If you don't, she was a really, really popular singer, pop artist from like Y2K, 2000s. She released two songs that will be scarred in my mind forever in a good way. Hips Don't Lie and She Wolf. If you haven't heard those songs, you're either a baby or you're just not very Y2K cultured. So go look them up and enjoy yourself. But yeah, I guess she's in the news because she just went through a breakup with her ex-boyfriend Gerard Piqué. They have a few children together, and I guess they were together for quite a long time. Um, During this breakup, it's going viral because she wrote this absolutely brutal diss track on him, um, which I'll include or I won't. I mean, I'll probably get claimed. Um, it's a bop. It's a bop. And in it, she says all sorts of things. about, she was out of his league. I mean, yeah, and she put her life and career on hold for him. Um, there have been rumors about this affair going on. She confirms the rumors about the affair. She says in the song that, she's worth two 20-year-olds. She says that he left her in the house in debt to the government. Oh my gosh, guys, so much tea spilled so quickly across. And she said that he left her living right next to her mother-in-law. Well, I guess they're not married, so his mother's house. Oh my God. And I guess that was horrific, always being next to her because she seems very upset about it. But yeah, basically, she put this out. She confirms the rumors about the affair with this lady named, or girl, I should say, named Clara. Clara. Now I know what you're thinking. Clara, who is she? Is she an actress? Is she a singer? Is she a model? No. No, she isn't. Actually, Clara is a 23-year-old PR student that is employed by his event production company. Just a moment of silence for that. So she's employed by him. Super ethical. We love that. Love that for them. I'm sure she doesn't regret this at all. Another thing she did is when she dropped it, she blasted it out her back door on her balcony towards his mother's house, and she put this like creepy Halloween witch doll out on the balcony towards his mom's house so that so that she could hear the song and see the it's crazy. She's wild. We stand Shakira. We stand her forever. Huge fan. Um but yeah, it's something funny that I heard? Could be not true, could be true, but what I heard is that she actually found out that he was cheating because in their household, she's the only one who likes strawberry jam, okay? And she went downstairs one day and she opened her refrigerator and her strawberry jam was half gone. If that doesn't prove an affair, I don't know what will. So that's that on Shakira. But what's another Y2K girly I think about sometimes? Um, do you guys ever think about Christina Aguilera? Now, I know maybe you're angry. Like, of course I think about Christina Aguilera. What are you talking about? Still an icon. Absolutely. But doesn't she come across as somewhat private? I feel like the vibe is interesting. I know that she's busy doing music in other countries. She's singing a lot of songs in Spanish right now. She's going back to her roots, really enjoying like her whole origin story, and that's totally dope. I just really would love to hear more about other things going on in her life. I don't know. I feel like there's a story there, maybe possibly a documentary coming in the future. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. But I feel like maybe there's a story there. Okay, so I said that I was going to talk about the UFC, and I do want to do that. A little bit less about Joe Rogan and more about the organization, although I do have to say, whenever he does announcing um, for their shows, I'm never disappointed. Like, don't get me wrong. Um, but yeah, there's a couple things going on in the news with the UFC right now. Number one, there is the video that just came out of the president of the UFC, Dana White, slapping his wife in public. Now, I know what you're thinking, eye roll, of course. And let me explain, okay? I think that when it comes to these types of very masculine environments and like organizations where there's a lot of that sort of energy, I think that we all expect that there is going to be some corruption. If that offends you, I'm sorry, but it wouldn't be the rarest thing in the world for somebody in Dana White's position to kind of abuse their power in this way. It's a very common narrative, and I think that's why it, blew up as it should. Um, yeah, so basically, I'll insert the video and then we can talk about it. Okay? I'm gonna play it now. All right? Here you can see in the footage by TMC Sports that they're kind of having an aggressive conversation, and then he steps in closer. She slaps him, and then he smacks her, and then it seems that they begin to have a physical altercation. So yeah, she slaps him and then he like slams her and it's really intense. I mean, regardless of who hit who first, I feel like it's pretty clear that there's really uneven power dynamic going on right here. One person is significantly more in danger than the other, in my opinion. I really hope that they're able to fix it and they're able to, work these things out together. I hope they're both safe, especially I hope, that his wife is safe and that all is well. Um, but yeah, the bottom line is I think that the UFC should definitely distance themselves from Dana White for something like this. I think the fact that he hasn't yet suffered any repercussions that I know of is a statement within itself. It's giving straight white male privilege and it's giving, you know, normalizing behavior that shouldn't be normalized. And if you're mad because I'm talking about Joe Rogan and Dana White and all of these people, look, we get it. You love him, okay? You love them. Fitness changed your life. We've heard the story. Thanks so much. But when somebody is in a position like Dana White or the UFC, there's, with great power comes great responsibility. There's a lot of damage that can be done. And we need to check in on these people who have the ability to hurt many people at once and make sure that the dynamic isn't abusive. Whether it is or not, we'll be keeping an eye because I think that's the right thing to do. Oh, and then the other thing about the UFC, the real story here, not saying that that's not important because it is, but the thing that might really affect them that I've been seeing a lot of buzz about lately is allegedly there's some interesting behavior going on about not only this type of corruption, but the way that the UFC is moving around their money. Now, I can't say much yet because I can't say that anything has been confirmed. There's still a lot of information coming out, but allegedly there's some interesting things coming out about how they're dealing with their money. So that should be intriguing in the future. Yeah, I mean, when I put out the video, everybody was so mad that I was talking about them. They're like, how dare you talk about Joe Rogan this way? He didn't mean it like that, blah, 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 blah. I'm just imagining. Can you guys just imagine with me for a second? Can you imagine the first simp? Because there is going to be so much hate. Like when we first start these things and I first start putting things out on the internet, it's not going to reach my target audience right away. It's going to slip into all of these little, you know, underpinnings of the underworld of like the depths of hell. And it's going to be so funny. But can you imagine the first simp? All of the men in the comments are going to be like, traitor! How dare you have a voice crush on her? How dare you? How dare you? And I say, do it. Do it. We'll see, won't we? Anyway, talking about problems, Chris D'Elia, okay? Now, you may have already have seen this video because I linked it on our Twitter. Our Twitter is _Culturecore. _Culturecore. You can find it there now. You might have to scroll down a little bit because I've been posting on there pretty regularly, just like fun pop culture throwbacks and like funny things I'm seeing in the news. But yeah, Chris D'Elia. For those of you who don't know, he's an extremely popular American stand-up comedian who was exposed a little while back for basically essaying multiple women. Now, these charges, to my knowledge, ended up actually being dropped later on. And so, surprisingly, and it seems, without merit, he ended up getting a second chance, sort of. And Chris D'Elia went up in front of everyone and was like, oh my God, he seemed really remorseful and he acknowledged his behavior and he said that he was going to change, right? I'm going to change. The classic, I'm going to change. Well, Kyle Anderson, a man, I'm not sure if he's a YouTuber, a director, a writer, what's going on here, but a man named Kyle Anderson put out a documentary on YouTube that has become a little bit infamous ever since its release because it so clearly depicts what happened with him and how fast he like went up in front of everybody, he apologized, he said it's going to change, and then immediately turns around and starts doing evil things to these women again. And um yeah, it's really clear through this documentary what these quote unquote cancellations really mean to people nowadays. And I think that it's a really good example of how some things shouldn't be forgotten, some things shouldn't be forgiven. And yeah, I just recommend that you go and watch it. Go and watch the doc. It's going to be linked in my Twitter at _Culturecore. I hope that you enjoy it, and I hope that we can all come together and draw clearer and harder lines with people who, are crossing lines. And we remember that some things shouldn't be forgotten. Ever. Speaking about more heavy things, things that shouldn't be forgotten. Okay, so there's all of this stuff coming out about Justin Roiland from Rick and Morty. If you haven't heard, I'm so sorry to be the one to break this to you, but one of our favorite nihilistic, sarcastic, dark humor shows, Rick and Morty, the guy who voices both the main characters, Justin Roiland, has had some accusations brought up against him surrounding a few different things. So, number one is he has been charged with domestic battery and false imprisonment by an ex of his, a girl that he was dating. Okay? Now, when I heard domestic battery, I feel like I understand what that means, right? I understand that there was like physical abuse, right? But when I heard false imprisonment, I don't know about you. I mean, I guess I can kind of guess what that means, but I wasn't sure exactly. So I looked up the definition, and it says here that a false imprisonment charge means to unlawfully deprive someone of their personal liberty. So, just to be clear, Justin Roiland was charged with domestic battery and unlawful deprivation of someone's personal liberty, which is wild. Wild. And I wish I could say that that is the only thing that's happening surrounding this controversy. But it gets worse. It gets much worse. There were also a lot of screenshots released of messages between him and minors, all right, talking in really aggressive and inappropriate ways. I can put the screenshots up on the screen. These conversations are disgusting. Let's be real. This is not entertainment, okay? I'm gonna put it up on the Twitter. If you want to see it, you can. The overview of the screenshots are just like, him being disgusting, him calling minors jailbait in a very like aggressive way, and telling them to start quote unquote cam, put sexual slur here, just like cam whoring, and like it's disgusting. The things he said about and to these young people, I mean, it's unforgivable. Um, yeah, and then the worst of the worst. I hate to even have to share this, but I think that it's important because we all know there's something going on here, but sometimes it can be hard to really clarify the severity of the problem that we're discussing. There was video clips released from a podcast that have been circulating. Yes, this clip that I'm about to share a bit of was shown on H3, but I do have more to say on it than that. I'm gonna play a bit of it. Now, trigger warning, okay? This is really not fun stuff. If you want to skip ahead, the video will be up on the screen, so all you have to do is scrub until you don't see it anymore. I'd say for my audio listeners that this is going to be maybe 30 seconds tops. It's really disgusting. I will link the full video on our Twitter, _Culturecore, if you really want to hear this in depth. Okay, so I'm going to play it now, and then we can discuss it. All right? Okay, play.
As a race, are we that crazy? Like when we were fucking 100 years ago, it was little 13-year-old girls, if they were built like a woman, they were getting married and having kids.
Ew.
And now we're gonna be all precious about it. I keep using the word precious today. That's the word of the week.
Which is a movie about a child molesting.
Precious.
If I'm not mistaken,
And
right?
Down syndrome baby.
Yeah,
Are
exactly.
you kidding?
So, anyways, I'm not a pedophile though. I do
I'm
follow
a
the law.
pedophile.
I wait
Oh,
till they're
cool,
18
cool.
if I'm ever so lucky as to have.
For that. Dude, Justin's advice for me to get a girl kind of worked out, but you should put a warning advice.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. You
Ew.
should put a warning. Only lasts 48 hours.
Oh.
Because the girl I said had a nice ass. Do you remember when you gave us
Oh yeah, I
advice?
said tell her she's got a nice
Oh
ass.
my
Be
God.
a man.
This
Be
is
tough.
the one that everybody thinks was gay,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
At
yeah.
a school.
I guess
Be
so. This-
confident. Act
Mhm.
like you know you're fucking awesome. And
Yeah.
and if you're like in 4th grade, these girls they're gonna be blindsided.
4th grade.
If
Yeah,
I could
well,
go back
naturally.
and be a 4th grade kid right now with what I know, oh my God, I'd be like
Ew.
walking around. I'd be getting laid every fucking
Ew.
day.
Gross.
And
in
it would
fourth
be
grade.
and it would be legal too because I would be a little kid.
And he's been practicing. I'm a
kidding?
4th grader now, so he knows how to do
Yeah.
it.
Okay. So, obviously, that was disgusting. Really disturbing. I feel like the overall tone of that clip, wow. To be so cavalier in such a purposeful way about these types of subjects, I mean, just, it makes me want to throw up. I'm sure it really disturbs you as well. So a lot of people have been sharing this. H3 put it out on the podcast. It's been going around Reddit. But the thing that I haven't really heard people discussing as much is this point over the fact that there are 3 people talking in this clip. There are 3 people. There are 2 men and there is 1 woman talking in this clip. And I feel really strongly that every single one of these people is to blame here in some way. Okay, so just to fill you in on what's actually happening, this is from an older podcast called Grandmother's Virginity. Ugh, I know, totally gross, totally on theme, unfortunately. But this podcast, from what I know, was hosted by 3 people. I obviously can't confirm that these are the 3 people in this clip. I don't know them, I've never heard them speak, but since there's supposed to be 3 hosts, 2 men, 1 woman, and that's what's happening in here, I can't help but assume that these are the people speaking on this episode. If they're not, if this is some sort of guest, it barely even matters. Listen, the 3 people who host this old podcast called Grandmother's Virginity are 1, Justin Roiland, the man we're discussing, 2, Ryan Ridley, and 3, the woman, Jackie Buscarino. Now, Ryan Ridley is a pretty successful voice actor. In fact, on most seasons of Rick and Morty that are out right now, he has credits as being a voice actor for many minor roles. And he has producing credits on 3 of Rick and Morty's seasons, 1, 2, and 3, I believe. So he is heavily involved in this whole project. They're working together. You understand? And then the other person, the woman, Jackie Buscarino, you're gonna hate this, guys. Jackie Buscarino is a voice actress for children's TV shows. Children's TV shows, including Steven's Universe, Gravity Falls, and she too has some minor voice acting roles on Rick and Morty, okay? Steven's Universe, Gravity Falls, these are supposed to be, unadulterated fantasy lands for children and adults alike to go and to be able to, have fun and be safe. This is supposed to be a safe space. And the fact that she is not being held accountable is scary. If I was a parent and I heard that a person was working on a children's TV show, I might mistakenly think that that person had been vetted or, checked out in some way. I might mistakenly think that that person is a safe person for my child to be around. Because you would think, right? You would think that they would take steps to make sure that these types of things don't mix and these types of things don't happen, but they don't. And I'll tell you what, this shows a larger picture at hand here that's very disturbing, because all of these people work together on this specific team, And I just can't help but feel that the whole cast of Rick and Morty at this point, anybody who's working with them on this project, needs to be, looked into. It seems like there's a bigger problem here. The culture is obviously toxic, and I don't know if it goes as far and as broad to say that this is a symptom of the fact that comedy, the history of comedy is somewhat disgusting, and it's a boys' club that really got out of hand and attracted some unsavory characters. But regardless, I think that this cast and crew needs to be examined. Um, it's a super serious issue. I'm glad that I got to say that though. Go check this out. If you want to share it, share this. Share the clips. There are more. This is not the only clip. Let me make that clear. There is tons of audio footage of these people talking about disgusting things like this, like R-wording people, like minors, like, you know, P word, like being with minors, all this sorts of stuff, this stuff that's completely unacceptable. Now, obviously, I have to say that all of these things that I'm saying are alleged because nobody has been charged, and I understand that edge humor is a thing that sometimes people get lost in, but we need to have accountability here. If you said it, let's discuss it. Okay. Well, that was pretty heavy. I'm not gonna leave it on that note. We are getting towards the end, but I just quickly there's a lot of heavy stuff in the news this week. Next week should be a little bit better. Before I tell you what's going to be going on next week, let's talk about Miley Cyrus. Now, if you guys are not Miley Cyrus fans, that's totally fine. This is the end of the podcast for you. Thanks for coming. It's been such a great time. I love you. I'll see you next week. But if you are, then you know that Miley Cyrus pretty much, I wouldn't say yearly, I guess whenever she's ready, puts out an album that represents a new era, as it does for a lot of musical artists. And for me, when I think in my head, there's kind of like these two types of creatives, right? There's the creative that creates a concept and is working on something specific and is trying to build a vision. And then there's the other type of creative that lives and creates while they live and creates what they live, right? And Miley Cyrus has always come across to me, she's both, of course, we're never just one thing, but she lives and creates. She's creating as she's living. She could not be living without creating. And because of this, all of her projects always come out, so far at least, really authentic regarding where she's at and what she's experiencing in life. So every time she drops, I get super excited to hear kind of what she's been thinking about and meditating on, to see the growth. And she's really strong, so there's usually a lot of growth to be seen. But okay, our biggest question was, what is the genre going to be like? If you guys don't know, Miley Cyrus is incredibly dexterous when it comes to genre. She can do pretty much anything that she wants. She's done country, she's done rock and roll, she's done, more like hip hop rap sort of vibes, she's done it all. She's done pop. So when I heard this new single that came out that's just like wrecking the charts right now called Flowers, I was delighted. If this is her saying that she's going to be, it's a pop track. If this is her telling us she's going to be going into another mainstream pop phase, I'm so down for it. The music was super inspiring, super motivating. If you guys didn't hear the single, it's basically, you guys remember that song that came out a while back by Bruno Mars, When I Was Your Man? Now, this is the first song I ever danced to at a prom, and that experience was awful, okay? It was not a public school prom, I'll tell you that. It was like a private prom, more on my life later, but and I danced with some random guy that I didn't like, um, to When I Was Your Man. And I think we all have pretty core memories when it comes to this song because it was on the radio playing like crazy. But yeah, so she took that song and she, I guess, probably got the rights to resample, and she basically flipped all the lyrics. And instead of making it a song about a man who's regretful for the way that he treated his partner, it's now a song about her talking about how she can fulfill all of her own needs, which is beautiful. It's so cool. There's also rumors about whether or not this song has a special importance to her when it comes to Liam Hemsworth, which, if you know about it, it was really dramatic. But yeah, I don't know about that, but I do know that the song is amazing. In the music video, she's depicted like working out and like becoming her best self. It's very powerful, it's very empowering. I'm loving it. So I'm really excited for that album to drop. I can't wait. I think it's over the next couple months. I'll be sending out updates on the Twitter, definitely, at _Culturecore, so you can find that amongst other things there. And yeah, next week on Culturecore. Hey, this is Sleepy Quinn coming through on some raw audio, because before I do the whole and next time on Culturecore thing, I just wanted to say that this experience has been really interesting. In the future, I want you guys to know that this is not going to be like purely like a drama channel. Or a news channel. Oh god, it's not a news channel. I think that where my skills really shine is like in having one-on-one insightful conversations. So in the future, I'm definitely going to be having on people to talk to, guests to talk to. I think that that dynamic would be able to expand the vision a little bit more, because although I want to talk about what's happening on Twitter, like I want to talk about what's going on right now. I also just kind of, want us to get to know each other and like have fun with other people. Also, I'll be making more visuals and shareables and things like that in the future. Feel free to give me your feedback. I know I kind of rushed through this time. Next time it'll be longer and slower probably, if we all feel like that's the way it should be. Yeah. I enjoyed this. Okay, now I'll do the whole thing. Next time on Culturecore. Andrew Tate. Is he really going to jail? Manslaughter? I can't believe this is happening. We need to talk about the exploitation of women in sports. George Santos? Oh my god. All this and more next time on Culturecore.